And we are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Cory, your host for Wealth Wednesdays, one half of the Coordinate Full Effect podcast. And I'm back like I never left. And I figured it out. This is Wealth Wednesday number 9. The issue is I did 2 in one day. So it's like the 8th week, but it's the 9th episode of Wealth Wednesday. So I figured that out and I'm all caught up on the numbering system. For those of you tuning in for the first time, on the Coordinate Full Effect podcast, we discuss health and wealth, finances and fitness, and everything in between. We want to make sure you save more and save less and keep making better your best. However, my co-host Jordan, who does the fitness part of the podcast, is still on paternity leave. So while he is out, you guys are getting just the finance section, aka Wealth Wednesdays. But before I get started on, I would say probably the most important topic for at least probably all millennials in America, student loans and what that situation looks like. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share, subscribe, leave them rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. If you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to us. You can find my information as well as my co-host Jordan's information in the show notes on YouTube. You can follow me at sideline_Cory. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find Jordan at Stop Stalling J on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And his business page is FinallyFit on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, look at me getting better, a little bit better at doing the introduction. All right, what else do I have? I think that's it. There no I keep seeing more information on how the tax brackets and the Roth IRA 401k, the contribution limits for 2023 have changed, but I've yet to see that from the IRS yet. So once that drops, I'll do that update. However, y'all know what we do on Wealth Wednesday. We get straight to it. The student loans. I sort of talked about on last Wealth Wednesday towards the end, and I was hoping, right, per what they said. They said this application will be up in the early part of October. Early would likely mean before halfway, and halfway would be the 15th or 16th. Just the way the dates are set up for this month in October, the 15th and 16th of October are on a Saturday and Sunday, respectively. So that means the application should be up either this week or next week at the latest, which would be the 14th, next Friday. Today is the 5th. The application is still not up. And not to mention, Monday, the 10th, is, I don't know if it's still Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day, but that's a government holiday. Likely the application will be released then. However, now we gotta get into an article, y'all, because I'm just gonna read the article. It's my first time looking at it. Struggle streaming. Let me share the screen real quick, and we just gonna see what CNBC is talking about here. GOP challenges to Biden student loan forgiveness plan put debt relief in jeopardy. Now, GOP Republicans, as y'all know, they are against the student loan forgiveness. Okay, again, this is on by CNBC, and this was released Monday, October 3rd. Okay, millions of Americans who have been celebrating news of student loan forgiveness are now stuck in limbo as legal challenges to the plan amount. Here's what borrowers need to know. It says tens of millions of Americans who've been celebrating news of student loan forgiveness are now stuck in limbo as Republicans mount legal challenges to Biden's administration's plan. Again, in August, as I've already said this before, I did an episode on this. It's the third Wealth Wednesday. President Biden did announce that most federal student loan borrowers, you guys will be eligible for 10K forgiveness if you make 125K or less if you're single, and 250K or less if you're married, and then you'll get $20,000 in student loan forgiveness if you receive the Pell Grant. Okay. Now, during this time, some of the student loans that they said would qualify for the forgiveness are no longer going to qualify for the forgiveness. They've let you all know that if you've been making student loan payments essentially during the pandemic, so between I think it's March 13, 2020 and August 25th, 2022, any of those payments you've made during that time period, you can get that money back as essentially, as part of the forgiveness. I would not do that. Let the money you paid during the pandemic era, let that money stay towards your student loans and take this 10K or 20K in forgiveness. But, we see if y'all still going to get that based off of what this article is saying. Okay. And as I said, the White House said borrowers can start applying for relief this month, and you guys can see your lowered or eliminated balances within 6 weeks. Again, like I said before this article, they said you guys need to have your student loan application in no later than November 15th, right? That's roughly 6 weeks before the end of the year, because the application will only be open until December 31st, 2022. And if you want to see your balance decrease by this 10K or 20K or whatever you're going to get, you need to have that application in by November 15th, so that 10K or 20K, whatever you're going to get forgiven, will be deducted or taken away from how much you owe in student loans, and that interest won't be charged in your forgiveness. Okay, so anything after November 15th, they're saying, it might not occur when the student loan repayments start back up beginning of next year. And then again, the application does close. It's not an indefinite window. They're giving you all a little around 2.5 months to put this application in. There are going to be plenty of people, because I see it all the time. People are saying, where the student loans? I haven't seen them forgiven yet. What's up? And it's like, y'all need to put an application for this, man. All right. So please be aware of that. If you know anybody who has student loans and you haven't, made them aware of how the forgiveness works, and they're thinking they got it, they wonder where it's at, things like that, make sure, you send them some helpful links, send them to this podcast, etc., and just help them out, so that at least the amount of people who get screwed is, on the low end. All right. They're saying, though, this forgiveness that I just discussed, those plans may now be in jeopardy. All right. So here's what y'all need to know. Three challenges or 3 lawsuits have been filed so far. September 27th, Frank Garrison, an attorney working for a conservative legal group, brought the first legal challenge to Biden's plan, arguing that forgiveness would cause him personal injury in the form of a state tax. Now, when you think personal injury, you would think like a physical injury. You wouldn't think, if you can sue for state taxes causing a personal injury to you, that's welcome to America. Okay. It says that canceled student debt can be considered taxable income, although borrowers won't be required to pay the federal taxes on the canceled debt. Right. So in the American Rescue Plan of 2021, last year, for the more COVID relief that was done last year, they also put inside of that bill that any of the student loan forgiveness, I think it's up to 2025, you will not have to pay federal taxes on it. That's sort of setting up, the forgiveness that has been given out in August, or is supposed to be given out, the application that we're talking about here. So setting up, so hey, from a political standpoint, next year we're going to, forgive, 10K, 20K in student loans. This year, let's make, put something on the books that says when we forgive this debt, people don't have to pay taxes on it. Again, that's a 1099-C form. As I forgot to do my disclaimer, I knew I was forgetting something. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Again, entertainment purposes only. However, the 1099-C form is for cancellation of debt. So when you get debt canceled, usually you have to file it as taxable income. So just like money you made from your W-2. So let's just say, right, you got 10K forgiven and you make $90,000, you have to look at it as if you made $100,000 that year, and you got to pay the tax. You got to file that 1099-C form on your taxes. All right, but again, that's at the federal level. There's federal taxes, and then there's state taxes. And the issue with Frank Garrison, the attorney, is that he lives in Indiana. Now, most states are not taxing or not looking to tax this student loan relief. However, Indiana is, and this is where Garrison resides. And they're saying Indiana may charge levies on the debt. And I don't understand why it's may charge. Like, are they going to charge it or not? Like, especially, with it being a midterm year, like, people running for office again. It's interesting. But again, most states are not charging taxes, but, again, some are. And if you live in Indiana, you're in a place where they're going to looking like to charge state taxes. Again, state tax, not federal, on the student loan forgiveness. And again, currently Garrison is pursuing a government program that leads to tax-free debt cancellation known as public service loan forgiveness. But he says Biden's plan can now cause him to get, listen to this dollar amount, y'all, for those listening on the podcast platform. He's worried. He's trying to put this student loan forgiveness in jeopardy because Biden's plan could cause him to get $1,000 state tax bill. $1,000. America's a beautiful place. Now, we're talking, I forget what the number was. I think it's 300 billion or something like that. As far as like I think the relief. I think so. Yeah. 40 million times 10,000. Yeah. That should be, regardless of what it is, though, it's in the billions of dollars. I think this relief will be, everyone who qualifies for it. But this lawyer in Indiana is saying, yo, $1,000 I'm gonna have to pay in the state tax bill. Look, I really take the risk, and he go try to screw it up for everybody. This is crazy. Talking about crabs, this is an unreal crabs in the barrel type scenario. Regardless if you think the forgiveness should occur or not, look, it would have been different. He's talking about I give him $10,000, but $1,000, and he's a lawyer. I mean, bro, since you're a lawyer, I know you have the skill set to get a high income. Whether or not you do private or public, and you choosing to take that route, that's on you. But I know you're a lawyer, so you can make some type of bag. But he's worried about the $1,000 that y'all gonna y'all gonna make him pay in state taxes. Oh my goodness! Welcome to America, y'all. But again, what does Garrison say? Mr. Garrison says he's pursuing a government program that leads to tax-free debt cancellation. So he's in the public service loan forgiveness, right? The 10 years, y'all talk about the 120 payments, et cetera, et cetera. And most people try to do where they're going to pay the debt for 10 years, and like 2% of people have gotten it. He's looking to take that route, in which he won't have to pay taxes. Excuse me. He won't have to pay taxes on it. But now Biden's going to give him $10K up front. Now he's going to pay he's going to pay taxes on it. So he's saying that, quote unquote, this guaranteed $10K, right? And again, the public service loan forgiveness is not 100% guaranteed. Let's be clear with that. And the chances are, if he's in this program, he's not like making a lot of money for a lawyer, because you got to work for a public service, and he's likely, if he's qualifying for this or trying to work on the public sector, not the private. Regardless, though, he's trying to get that 120 payment, 10 years student loan forgiveness, and he's willing to jeopardize the entire nation because of this $1,000 state bill he might face. And again, too, when it comes to taxes, you have to file your taxes, see how much you owe, or see how much you're getting refunded. That's why I say for the 1099-C debt form, you have to file that. You might not owe taxes because it's, you got to file see what your entire tax situation is. Speak with a CPA or TurboTax, no sponsor, right? But speak with a CPA when you file your taxes so you can see what you're going to owe / get refunded. Just because you have to put something on there for this $10K in debt cancellation, or in the sense he's going to have $1,000 state bill, doesn't mean he's going to owe $1,000. He might just get $1,000 back less. Let's say he's getting $2,000 next year, and now he's going to get $1,000 instead. And as you can imagine, a lot of people, they need their tax refund. However, Mr. Garrison was just the first. 2 days later, on September 9th, 6 Republican-led states, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina, filed a lawsuit to block Biden's action. The GOP state officials argue that the president doesn't have the power to issue nationwide debt relief without Congress. That's sort of what President Biden was trying to do, though. Remember, that's what he was saying. He said he need Congress to let him know, but people are like, no, let the Department of Education look at something and see if you already have the power. And, President Biden was saying, hey, let me have Congress look at this. But y'all was putting that press on him, okay? Which is y'all right. If you voted for him, then hold him to what he said he was going to do. All right. Now, these 6 Republican-led states are also claiming that the policy would harm. Harm is such a crazy. So we got harm, and then we have cause personal injury. These are some crazy words. These must be legal terms. I mean, personal injury and harm aren't just, exclusive to legal terms, but these must be some type of, it's gonna harm it's gonna harm private companies. Now, a company is an entity. It's not one individual. At least with the previous person, he was one person. But I mean, a company, how can you verify it's gonna harm the company if less than half the people get harmed in the company? Is the company truly harmed? But they're saying it might harm private companies that service some federal student loans by reducing their business. In short, as y'all can imagine, they're expecting you owe them $100,000. They're expecting y'all not only to pay the $100,000, but to pay the interest on the $100,000 as well. That's already on their books. And also, as well, student loan forgiveness cannot be discharged, right, in bankruptcy. So, in short, these people, these private companies, they know they're gonna get this money. However, they coming in and saying they're not getting 10K / 20K, like per person. Scale that up to it's probably millions, and some companies might be billions of dollars, but probably millions of dollars for most of these private companies. That's going to impact their books. So they've likely already executed some financial decisions, some business plans, as if they're going to get this money, because that's just how how people operate. All right, so they're upset about that. Now, on the same day, September 29th, we're talking about Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich, if I'm pronouncing that right, brought his own legal challenge to stop Biden's administration plan. Brnovich is BRN, so it's a Brnovich, asserts that the policy would reduce the impact of the public service loan forgiveness program, which he says enables his office to recruit legal talent. This is funny. So out of the 3 quote unquote suits or challenges to this plan, 2 people have the public service loan forgiveness program and how they're in that being a reason why this forgiveness should not occur. But it's funny because the public service loan forgiveness, people don't get the money forgiven. So they're saying, hey, even though this 10K or 20K forgiveness is pretty much 100% chance guaranteed, I'm in this situation where I have like almost 100% chance not to get it. But since I'm in this situation, I would prefer that this 10K/20K relief does not occur. And the Attorney General in Arizona is correct. Again, and my guess is, again, Attorney General, right, for the state of Maryland, right, that's public. And then Frank Garrison is an attorney working for a conservative legal group. But since he's in the public, right, sector, in short, they're roughly speaking the same type of lawyer for the situation when the Attorney General in Arizona is saying his ability to recruit talent for his office. So just imagine the guy in Indiana is essentially in this, the recruit that the Arizona attorney is talking about. So the Arizona attorney is saying, hey, we need to be able to recruit Mr. Garrison, the attorney in Indiana, for our office, this legal talent he's talking about. And one of the ways, we dangle, something in front of them and saying, hey, you work for us for 10 years, these 120 payments, your student loans will get forgiven. But then he's saying it will reduce the impact. If we're talking about lawyers, the 10K or 20K is, I'm not aware of many lawyers where the 10K or 20K is truly helping them. They're going to take it, but he's saying it's going to reduce the impact of the public service loan forgiveness program. How's it going to, wouldn't it likely increase the impact? Because if you have less people, let's just say the reason they're struggling to forgive all these people forgiveness is because they have so many people in the pipeline. Well, if all these people who are looking, to get their student loans forgiven with the public service loan forgiveness program, but they're going to get it forgiven now with the 10 or 20K in relief, that would, help that pipeline out some. So I think it's just a legal reason. I highly doubt that they really think that the relief is going to impact the student loan, the public service loan forgiveness program. But hey, PSLF program, there we go, acronym. And it's explaining the program here. For those who don't know, allows those who work for the government to get their debt discharged after a decade /120 qualifying payments. Not a decade, it's 120 qualifying payments. And they're actually, the Biden administration saying they're looking into making more of the payments qualify for this particular forgiveness. If borrowers' loans are simply discharged now, the Arizona's Attorney General argues they'll have less of an incentive to work for the state. Lawyers in private practice tend to get paid more. Here's the simple logic. If the lawyers know they'll get paid more in private practice versus the public sector, and in short, if they sat down and just ran the math, hey, look at this. They can get paid 2, 3, 4 times more. Lawyers can get paid hundreds, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures. But they're going to choose to work for the public sector and essentially get paid barely 6 figures. If anybody sat down to the math, it's like you're better off working for the private sector and just locking in and paying off your student loan debt, because you're going to have it paid off, guaranteed paid off, as long as you don't lose your job in under 10 years, versus, taking this public service loan forgiveness route and, hoping these 120 qualifying payments, not a decade, 120 qualifying payments are actually going to all qualify and you're going to get the forgiveness. But, the Attorney General in Arizona is saying, hey, man, it's going to be less of an incentive. And again, 10 to 20K. Let me see how much average lawyer student loan. Let me see what the average lawyer student loan debt is. Average law student graduation was 130,000 student loan debt. That's the law student. That's from law school. That's not including undergrad. It's less than 10%. He's talking about less than 10%. If you think, a 10% reduction in their student loan debt, when most lawyers probably in that 6-figure plus range, like on the low end, come on now. All right, now, however, CNBC is giving y'all some hope. There is little merit in their challenge. The main obstacle for those hoping to bring a legal challenge against Biden's plan has been finding a plaintiff who can prove they've been harmed. Again, the word harmed here again, right? We saw harm, harmed, and personal injury. So those who've been harmed by the policy is saying such injury is needed to establish what courts call standing, said Lawrence Tribe, who is a Harvard law professor. So there's some harm or injury needs to occur. Okay. Tribe isn't convinced the current lawsuits filed have successfully done that. Okay. They keep looking for different ways to establish standing, and that's all good and well and good. But in the end, it is the merits that matter, and there is little merit in their challenge, Tribe says. Higher education and legal expert Mark Kantrowitz said it was possible a judge may overlook an imperfect case of standing. However, because of larger questions at play here, including the scopes of the president's power. So again, when Biden said, hey, I don't know if I got the power to do this, I need Congress to give me the okay. Y'all were like, nah, Biden, just do it. Now another higher education and legal expert is saying that it's not that the judges will need to find like someone's been harmed or had personal injury. They just might say, hey, the judge might be like, I don't know, no one was harmed, but I don't know if President Biden actually had the power, or was in the scope of the president's power to do this type of relief. Okay, the president's student loan forgiveness plan will likely be overturned if it reaches the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah, if it keeps going, let it get in front of the Supreme Court. It'll probably get overturned. Okay, so obviously these legal actions, what's that going to do? Because the student loan payments, President Biden said, they're starting back up in January. They're saying it obviously could delay them. Whether or not these challenges are ultimately successful, they're likely to slow down the forgiveness timeline. Oh my goodness. With the federal judge deciding whether or not to grant GOP-led states' request to block Biden's plan, the administration already has said it will not cancel any student debt before October 17th. So they won't cancel any debt before October 17th, but they said the application is going to be released, quote unquote, before that. So that's a little trickier whether or not they're saying the application will be released before then / canceled. I highly doubt they'll have that quick of a turnaround, 2 weeks on canceling y'all student loan debt. The policy, though, could be tied up in the courts for months. For months, the higher education legal expert Mark Contranowitz said. Okay, court battles could extend payment pause. So they're saying, hey, y'all might not get the forgiveness, but y'all get more extension. Okay, if the battle over student loan forgiveness drags on, the Biden administration may decide to extend the pause on monthly payments yet again. Currently, bills which have been, y'all haven't had the payment since March 2020, right? They're supposed to start back up in January, but it may be too messy to turn them back on while it's still uncertain what people owe because forgiveness remains up in the air. But it may be too messy to turn them back on while it's still uncertain what people owe because forgiveness remains up in the air. All right, so now what do y'all need to do? Again, the Department of Education website where you can subscribe for the student loan emails. It's telling y'all this to subscribe for those. They're saying ideally you'll be ready to request relief, as soon as the form launches. Experts say, right, if you get your loans forgiven before a lawsuit probably gets in the way, you might get to keep it. Even if the courts rule against the Biden administration. All right, this is saying, that is saying even if they overturn this, but your forgiveness occurs before it's overturned, you might still be able to keep it. And the White House did not immediately. The White House yet to comment on this. All right, y'all. Oh my goodness. All of that to say, this is why you need to handle your own life and not wait for the government. Okay. A lot of people I know, a lot of my clients, they're waiting on this student loan forgiveness. If it happens, it happens. It speeds up, their debt payoff goals significantly. But, some of y'all are waiting on this, like it's a lottery hit, and they controlling y'all a little too much for me, and I wouldn't want to be in this situation. So make sure if it does drop, again, I've been saying y'all need to, don't take off work if you got to. Most of you don't make $10,000 an hour, but get that student loan forgiveness in, get your application in as soon as possible, just in case they do say, hey, any applications that were put in, after a certain date, those ones aren't going to be forgiven. They're saying the pause extension might occur. That's going to be something the president is going to have to decide. So, they've always waited till late to do that. But October's going to, life doesn't slow down. It's going to be an interesting time. History books are going to have a doozy with the last two to 3 years. Once the pandemic hits until now, it's just been so much going on. So, make sure you guys are, staying up to date with this. Subscribe to the emails if you're not, if you're looking for the student loan forgiveness, which I know a lot of you are, but it is looking like, some challenges may be afoot for these student loans, because people are worried about private companies being harmed or them dealing with personal injury. All right, $1,000 in the state tax bill, they're not looking for that. All right. Oh, life is crazy out here. All right, y'all. That's it. I would say that's current event, but it's more than the current event. That's real. And y'all know I love discussing student loans. But make sure y'all hit that like button before y'all get up out of here. Make sure you share and subscribe our YouTube channel and our podcast platforms. Leave those rating reviews, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Again, oh man, look, I'm hitting my elbow. That hurts a little bit. But make sure, again, y'all check out the show notes. My information, again, sideline_Cory, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. My financial coaching pricing is in the show notes as well. $50 for one session a month, $100 for one 1-hour session a week. And again, Jordan, my co-host, is Stop Stalling Jay on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And his business page is FinallyFit on Instagram and Facebook. And his website is FinallyFit.live. Again, as I said, the classes have started back up. Jordan's like on a halfway paternity. Now he's back at work. He's just still on leave from the podcast. I need to talk to him about that. Am I at the bottom? But he's well. Oh, now I see why they say pause. But no. Jordan's back to work for his 9 to 5. But the classes have started back up. You'll get access to the virtual classes as well, as far as the Google Drive for all of that. And be happy to see y'all in the class. You need to get your health right. Y'all worried about this wealth aspect. You got to get your health right as well. Okay. And again, you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, you can DM us, leave comments on any of the posts, YouTube videos, etc. All right. Shout out to y'all student loan forgiveness. Is it on the way? I don't know. If they find a way to make it so it doesn't happen, I'm going to scream. And that episode is going to be insane. That will be a current events episode. If that drops, you'll be seeing me later that day, once I get off work, depending on when it drops. All right. But remember to save more and say less, and keep making better your best. And I will catch y'all in the next one.